And here's the rub of the whole debate up there. We're talking trillions in deficit, but we're talking billions in cuts. Okay? The Democrats have offered up $6 billion in cuts for the rest of the year. What does that mean? Nothing, absolutely nothing. We borrow $4 billion a day. We spend $10 billion a day. So probably what we're going to get, the compromise, is going to be $33 billion. That's 3 days worth of spending, and it's about 2% of 1 year's problem. There's a disconnect. When I come home or I go to a tea party and I say, well, I propose cutting $500 billion. At home, you know what they say to me? They say, that's a good start. They say, that's 1/3 of 1 year's problem. But in Washington, when I talk about $500 billion in cuts, they look at me as if I might have horns growing behind my ears. So there is a disconnect. We all want to balance the budget, but guess what? To balance the budget, you will have to cut spending. Everybody's got a good spending program. Some of them tug at your heartstrings. People come with terrible childhood diseases and this and that, and they all want money. One congressman who was recently elected from Michigan has a sign in his office, and his sign says, if you've come looking for money, you're in the wrong office. It is hard because so many of the programs have justification. Can we help this person or help this disease or help these people who are having trouble and struggling? The question we have to ask for each of those people who come is it justified to borrow from a future generation, or is it justified to borrow from China or Japan, or will they even continue to loan the money to us? I fear that the day of reckoning has been moved up because of the natural disaster in Japan. Who buys our debt? China's bought over $1 trillion worth of our debt. Japan owns about $886 billion worth of our debt, but we rely on their continual buying of our debt. Can Japan continue to buy our debt when they have problems at home? Will they sell our debt? Will we have to buy our debt? And the way we buy our debt is by simply making new money from the Federal Reserve. We simply print it up, but that destroys your savings and your value. Ultimately, it takes from you even the cost of your land because everything goes rapidly up through inflation. We're facing a day of reckoning, and it will take leadership. I don't think we're getting that leadership from the White House. You will get to help decide who the leadership is on our side, and you need to take it seriously. I know you do. I've been around here. I know you take it seriously. But as I told people in my primary, it's not enough just to be a Republican. It's not enough just for the Republican Party to exist. Political parties are empty vessels unless we imbue them with values. We have to stand for something. We have to mean it. Paul Kenger writes of a young man who was 11 years old. He comes home from a YMCA basketball game in 1922 in Dixon, Illinois. It's a cold evening. It's been snowing. And he finds his dad passed out on the front steps, drunk, dead to the world. He was embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. But he didn't give up. He didn't leave him there. He reached down. He grabbed a fistful of his overcoat, drug him inside to get him out of the neighbor's view, to get him out of the cold. But this young man didn't give up and say, woe is me, what'll I do? I've got these awful family problems. I need somebody to help me. I won't do anything because how can I make it with all my problems? This young man lived in 30 different cities as he was growing up. But this young man grew up to be Ronald Reagan. He grew up to be the man with the sunny optimism and the charisma that shined so brightly that it got us through the malaise of the late 70s. He had an optimism that beamed so broadly that it pulled us out of a serious recession. He had an optimism that tugged so mightily at the heart that he changed a generation of Democrats into Republicans. That's the kind of bold leadership we need. That's what you need to help us discover. We need bold leadership, people who will and can articulate the American dream. People who can understand that the American dream means that we believe in the individual, that we believe in you. When Reagan said that government is not the solution to the problem, government is the problem, we need to articulate that, but articulate that we are the solution, and that the solution has unlimited potential if we can get government out of the way. America is a great country. I think the greatest country probably ever conceived, because we got our founding documents right. We enshrined individual liberty and freedom in our documents, and we should have respect for those documents. One of the things that I am fighting this week and will continue to fight next week is that I think the most important vote we ever take when we're up there is whether or not to go to war or not. Whether or not we send our brave young men and women to war should be something that your representatives, that we vote on. Now, President Bush got a lot of grief from a lot of different angles for the Afghanistan war and the Iraq war. But you know what? In both instances, he came to Congress, and Congress at least voted on this before we went. These are the checks and balances that our founding fathers intended for us to have. This president sets a terrible precedent to go to war without coming to Congress. He had time to go to the UN. He had time to go to NATO. In fact, I think they think the UN's more important than Congress. It's awful. He had time to go to the UN. He had time to go to NATO. He had time to go to the Arab League. He had time to consult private citizens, but he didn't have time to go down to the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue and consult you through your people's representatives. That's going to have to change. Senator Grassley mentioned about America being exceptional. I agree. But I don't think we're inherently exceptional in the sense that it's nothing about the color of our skin or our DNA or anything like that. But we're exceptional because of our Constitution. We're exceptional because we embraced individual liberty and capitalism. But we have to remember to obey these things. We have to remember to obey the Constitution. James Madison said that the Constitution supposes what history demonstrates, that the executive is the branch most interested in war and most prone to war. Therefore, the Constitution has, with studied care, given that power to the Congress. It was a division of power. It was checks and balances, and it was very important to our founding fathers. We need to have a debate over that. I hope to force just such a debate this week when we go back. As we move forward into the next cycle, I think that there is every chance that we can have great success. We had great success in 2010. I think we can do it in 2012. What I ask of Iowa is help us find the right person. Thank you very much.